Today, I want to talk about something that is so vital for your business success, but it is a very, very unpleasant rejection. We're going to talk about why rejection matters. I'm going to share my own recent rejections because guess what? I get rejected every month. And I'm going to talk about why you need to focus on getting more rejections and not less rejections. Why you need to stop worrying about getting over rejection and you need to start worrying about getting more rejection in your life. If you want your business to grow, you need rejections. That's what we're going to talk about today. Hello and welcome to Explore Your Enthusiasm, episode 171. I just had a full month of rejections. July was just totally full of rejections, so I think that we should talk about that because I think that there is a misconception that if your business is going well and you're profitable and you have new customers and new sales and new everything, that you must just be floating by when in fact all of those things are happening because I'm busy racking up rejections. So we're going to start with my own rejections and we're going to talk about why rejection is something you want, and then I'm going to give you a challenge to get more rejected. So I want you to get more of it, not less. So my own rejections, my book proposal was rejected by all of the places it was sent. So a book agent started talking to me almost 2 years ago, and then a year ago, March, took a look at my proposal, made some suggested changes. I made those changes. She had a baby, so she was on maternity leave, and when she came back, we sent it to editors to, buy my book proposal and give me a book deal. And last month I found out, at the very end of the month, absolutely everyone said no to it. Rejected across the board. And what she promised to do in the beginning was that she would send me any acceptances immediately, but the rejection she would all save up till the end, so I'm not having a constant steady stream of rejection. It helps keep your mood up if you don't know about all the rejections till the end. So the feedback was actually genuinely awesome, and I was really, really happy with what everyone wrote. The editors liked my writing, which is something I was nervous about, and they liked my voice. Everybody said voice. But many of them have already optioned books that they think are similar, even though they're really not. And or they optioned books recently in the same category, and so they don't want too many books coming out in the same category during the next books coming out season. So everybody liked it. I mean, most everybody liked it, but no one bought it. So I'm going to be honest, this really sucked. I cried. I was actually on a plane, I was getting on the plane when I got the email, so I sat there, which I shouldn't have done, and read through it, and I cried for a while. But here's the thing, I have other options like self-publishing or submitting a new proposal for a slightly different topic, which is what my agent suggested or what she encouraged me to do, but I don't want to yet. And I think that we too often jump past the rejection into, oh, well, you could do all these other things. Well, sure, but the fact is I wanted this and this didn't work out. Now, right now, just so you know, I'm not going to be looking to self-publish it because I've got so many other projects I'm super excited about and that I want to work on. Maybe this will happen in the future. I mean, I'm 35, so the chances of it happening in the future are pretty good because I have a long life ahead of me, I do hope. So the other big pile of rejections I got this month was from banks about buying the comic book shop. Most of you guys know my husband and I are aiming to buy the comic book shop where he's worked for the last 2 years. We've done all the paperwork. We've met with the SBA. We have a wonderful proposal together. The advisor we're working with who's a business professor and helps a lot of people put together their business plans. He was super impressed and he's like, you guys, this should definitely work out. So we went to banks, and banks, one after another, said no. Now, like with a book, there was a lot of great feedback, and it was actually a hugely encouraging thing to me because so many of the banks love my business and would invest in my business. They just didn't want to invest in the business or buy. So that came back. Even with all the great feedback, it's still a no, and it sucks. So we have other options, which I'm not going to talk about here because if it all works out, I'll let y'all guys know how it worked out. And if it all works out that we don't do this at all, I'll also let you guys know that. I'll tell you either way. But basically, that was just a bunch of rejections to get week after week, because we had a different meeting with the bank almost every week for 4 or 6 weeks in a row. So it sucks. And yes, we have other options, but that's what I really want you guys to understand. One, there are always other options when you get rejected. Always. No is a total and complete no. It's never the end of the road. There is always something else you can do. Always, always, always. There's just not this way. So that's the first thing, is there's always other ways it could work out. But the second thing is, despite knowing there's other ways, that doesn't make it hurt any less, and it doesn't make it suck any less. Like, it's still just a bummer to be told no. So just because you have other options doesn't mean you want to take them or that you feel any better. And I think it's really important to point out, because a lot of times we want to skip over the hard part of it sucking, as opposed to taking a minute and mourning it and being sad and realizing this thing that I wanted to work out in this specific way is not working out in the way that I want it to. If you try to push past the sadness too fast, you're missing out on a real gem of rejection. This is what you can learn from rejection, is that you'll be okay no matter what. Look how bad you feel. Look how awful it is. Everything fell apart, and yet you'll be okay no matter what. When we rush to move past that, to say all the ways that it did work out or all the things that will be okay, we miss out on realizing even if the worst happened, we'll be okay. Now, you may remember this phrase, you'll be okay no matter what, from all of my talk about confidence and all the podcast episodes about building confidence, because guess what? Knowing that even if you get rejected, you'll be okay, that is a foundational tenet of building confidence. So having that feeling and actually feeling the awfulness and sadness and realizing that you're surviving it anyhow, that's key to building confidence, and it's how you're going to push past your fear of rejection. So the reason why confidence matters is it gets you to do things even when you're afraid of doing them. Well, you can only do things when you're afraid of doing them if you know you'll be fine, even if everything turns out horribly. So we often like to sweep rejection aside and like, oh, that wasn't really a problem. I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And that's good, because that's always true. Like, there's always going to be another option. But when you do that, then you forget later in the future that you actually know what it's like to be rejected and survive. So then the next time when you have to do something scary that's going to result in rejection, you think, oh no, I might be rejected and rejection is horrible. I hate rejection. Oh no, I don't know if I can survive rejection. When in fact, you have definitely survived rejection before. You will definitely do it again. So taking a moment and really this is part of the reason I'm talking with you guys about it, is because acknowledging that I wanted to do something and other people said, no, you can't, and that I survived anyhow, is going to help me the next time I'm afraid of something. If I swept it under the rug and I thought, well, that's okay because I'm busy with this, or I'll just self-publish, or I'll just do this, and I immediately jump to the next thing, then I would forget in the future when I'm afraid, oh wait, no, I was hardcore rejected and it was fine. So those are some of the reasons why rejection is really important. It makes future possible rejection less scary. It's kind of like a muscle, that the more you use it and the more you get used to using it, the stronger you get and the less it freaks you out. So the more you get used to piling up rejections and acknowledging it, the less it freaks you out, the less afraid of that rejection you're going to be. Now, the other thing about rejection is it's a numbers game. If you apply to 0 craft shows, you will get in to 0 craft shows. You have to apply to some number of craft shows to get into the number that you want to get into. This is true of any kind of sales, like if you're trying to get your product into a retail shop, or if you are just trying to sell directly to the consumer, or if you're trying to get into a craft show, any kind of sales requires rejection. To get one yes, you're going to have to get a couple no's, at least. So to ensure you get any acceptances, you have to be willing to accept some rejections. In other words, anything you will do to grow your business, from inviting people to learn more, to sharing your product, to applying to a show, to contacting a shop, all of those things, you have to acknowledge and accept that rejection is a possible outcome. Straight up, it's a possible outcome, and you got to get comfortable with it. Now, the flip side of this is racking up rejections is the surest way to know you're on the right path of building your business. I know that sounds crazy, right? Because you think, no, rejections must mean something's wrong. Not necessarily. The more you're putting yourself out there to hear either a yes or a no, the more certain you can be that your business is going to grow. Because all those business growth things, the possible outcome is rejection. So I always tell my students and my business partners to look at it like this. Your job is to get however many rejections you need to get in order to get one no. And often when we're talking about it, we'll make up a number, like a really high number. So for approaching retail shops, you might need to get 30 to 50 no's before you get one yes. For book proposals, it's more like 75 no's to one yes. And when you look at bestsellers, that's often the ratio. So for applying to shows, it might be 3 to 4 no's to one yes. For direct selling, it's often about 10 no's, I'm not interested, not right now, I can't make it, to one yes, I'll be there, I'll come for sure. That applies to inviting people, and it also applies to actually selling a product. Like a certain number of people are going to say no or not right now before one person says yes right now. If you get that in your head, my job is to get 50 no's, then you are definitely going to get some yeses. So when I'm working with clients to put together a list of, because they want to move into wholesaling their item, they want to get into retail shops, I say, I want you to plan to not give up hope until you've contacted 100 shops and they've all said no. Because what will often happen is they'll get to shop number 3 or 4 and they'll get a no and they'll be like, well, it's all gone. You don't know. Maybe the 10th shop was going to say yes. So have in your head that the 100th or the 50th will be a yes. You just have to get to that yes. So hopefully I've convinced you that rejection is something you need to have more of it in your life. So now I want you to think about how you're going to apply this to yourself. How many times have you been outright rejected in the last month? Now, this is not when people ignore you or don't reply or don't do anything. Like if you list something in your Etsy shop or you invite somebody to something and you just get no reply and no sales, that's not a rejection. That usually means that not enough people have seen it or know about it to say yes. I'm saying a flat out no. How many times did you get that in the last month? Unless you racked up over 10 outright no's in the last month, I'm going to say you need to aim at getting a little more rejection in your life. So you need to put yourself out there a little bit more, or make a little clearer calls to action or invitations to buy so that you get some no's, not just some silence. So I want you to think about it like this. The underlying principle is you know what you need to do to make sales or reach your goals. You just need to do more of it. You just need to do it at a higher volume with more consistency and more often. That's what all this talk about rejection is actually about. Realizing that whatever you're doing to move forward in your goals, you probably know what you need to do. You just need to do more of it, a lot more of it. And rejections are a sign that you're doing that more volume and with more consistency and more often. So to make your own plan for getting more rejections, I want you to write down your next goal for the next month or so. So keep it small, your next goal for the next month or so. And if you have a problem thinking in that short of term, I want you to use the book Map Your Business. It's my book, Map Your Business. You can find it on Amazon or at taraswiger.com/map. It will help you take your big plan, break it down into smaller goals, and then a plan of action of what to do. So when you've got your smaller goal, ask yourself, who needs to say yes to make this happen? So if your goal is a sales goal, then how many yeses do you need to get in order to reach that number of sales? Maybe it's 2 a week, maybe it's 20 a week. What is that number? If you want to get into 3 new shows, then you need 3 yeses from craft show organizers. If you want to get into 10 more shops this month, you need to get 10 yeses from retail shops. So who needs to say yes to make that happen? And how many people saying yes is that? And what do they need to say yes to? What is a specific thing you're asking them to do? Now, I want you to multiply that number by at least 10. That is how many people you need to directly ask and approach in order to reach your goal. So a lot of times with online businesses, people are like, well, I have the things in my shop and I post it on Instagram. Well, are you doing a direct call to action where you're sending people from Instagram to your shop? Are you sending emails that say, this is what's available, buy this now? And if you are you sending them to enough people? So if you need to make 20, let's say 10 sales to reach your goal, and your list is only 15 people on it, then you're not asking enough people. And often you're not even making a clear call to action. You're not making a clear ask so that they know what they need to do next. So if I wanted to sell 10 of something, now just a general thing is you're going to multiply that by 100, and you need to talk to 100 people to sell 10 of it. And you need to talk to them directly, not passive. Oh, also check out my Etsy shop, but very much like, this is my product. This is what it's available. This is what it costs. Go here to buy it. So this is true about applying to craft shows. You actually have to apply to more craft shows you want to get into. This applies to retail shops. This applies to direct selling. This applies to holding workshops and having them show up. You have to invite way more people directly than how many you need to say yes. That's huge. If you just took this and applied this to your sales process, you would see an increase in sales because most of you aren't talking to enough people. And this doesn't mean like you just need to spend time growing your audience. It means you need to talk directly to more people. So once you have the number of however many people you need to talk to directly, I want you to go out and contact that many people. So get yourself together, get organized so it's as easy as possible for them to say yes. So if you're approaching retail shops, that means have your price list, know what products you sell. If you're applying to a craft show, have a good bio, have good photos, but don't stop yourself and get all perfectionist on me. Get yourself together. Take a couple days maybe to get it all together, and then go out there and get those yeses, and more importantly, get those no's. So I would love to hear about all the no's you're racking up and how many people you need to talk to and how exactly you're doing it. You can comment on my Facebook page. It's just facebook.com/TaraSwiger page. If you search Tara Swiger on Facebook, you'll find it. Or post on your Instagram and use the hashtag #ExploreYourEnthusiasm. People love to hear stories about rejection because so much of social media is about all of our wonderful successes. So share where you're putting yourself and your work out there and how often you have to get rejected to get a yes. That's real, and that's how businesses work. You get a lot of no's before you get a yes. So I would love to hear about your rejections. Use the hashtag #ExploreYourEnthusiasm, and I promise I'll come by and I'll cheer you on. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish you a day full of yeses and nos. I hope it's a very enthusiastic day.